Okay, it's 7:30. Welcome everybody. Draw your attention to the recording and the filming part. Go straight to the agenda. So apologies.
I was just received from Councillor Cash.
Yeah, thank you. Any declarations of interest?
Yes, just in agenda 8.1, but the budget, just personal non-pecuniary interest as the trustee of East Harpenden Town Council Chamber.
Thank you. Okay, Chairman's report and urgent items. Just to say that the temporary storage unit for Blackburn volunteers should be going in next week. I think next Wednesday, so that's good. And I wanted to just flag up because it's something that we addressed a couple of years ago. And I think we need to return to it, and that's the drainage problem by the Barlands car park. I've seen that quite recently, and it looks quite bad. And I think if we could just note that one for a future meeting, that would be good.
You'd like a report for a future meeting?
Yes, please, yes. Because we did go as far as, we got quite far before, didn't we? And then just seemed to go quiet. Okay. Great, thank you. Any public questions in accordance with Standing Order 6.4? No? Okay, in which case, minutes of the last meeting on the 18th of November. Is everyone happy to take them as a correct record? Okay. You're right, it's fantastic. Is that unanimous?
Oh, sorry, no, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the first lot of minutes reporting to us are the allotment working party page in Leckland. And I expect everyone has read them through, so the only thing I want to say is that we definitely want a meeting with the allotment clubs before the next environment committee meeting, which is March. So that's being lined up now with David Wing. Do I have any comments or questions on the minutes? No? In which case can I put them? Right.
I wasn't there though.
That's all right.
Just looking at the season. Yeah, I can't close them.
And then the next one is the Westfield Past and Finish group. Any questions or comments? If not, then I'll just the date of the next meeting. So obviously the next stage has gone through environment. Will be for David Grant with help to draw up the specs and then go out to tender. So we made a lot of progress on that. I think it's going to be looking promising. So I haven't got a timeline yet, but I'm very hopeful for some. Okay, in which case I think that is accepted. Action tracker. No update yet on 1 and 2. We've just done 3. The concourse improvement. I was in London last week, and I noticed there was a surface underneath a tree which took in moved into the free route, and it looked quite smart. And it's sort of a rubberised version of what do you call it? Sort of
like shingle, but sort of with a bonding sort of agent in it.
That's it. Sort of resin bonded shingle, but it's a sort of a more rubbery feel, texture to it. So you could press your foot down and it was quite sort of spongy.
Oh, I think I know the ones you mean.
Okay.
I think. Are they quite common, these ones?
Well, no. To be honest with
first
you.
time you've seen it? Oh, okay.
I haven't seen one like it before.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, given that we do have ongoing problems with the seat around that, we could make that quite a sort of an attractive feature if we extend the area of it out far enough and make it an obvious feature rather than, you know, too close to the tree and then you've still got the pavers that we've got problems with. So I'll pass that on to Emma and Heidi. Is everyone aware of Heidi? So she's in maternity cover for Julie. Yeah. So
I've met this Heidi before. Would I have met her?
No.
possibly
No,
not
okay.
because she's only really started
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to investigate that and see what the possibilities are.
Is it flexible as
Well,
well? Not really, is it?
Yes, I would say it was quite sort of flexible.
Is it to stop because the ground just dries out under the tree, or is it because the surface is moving, you know, the slabs and things like that?
So if that was the tree, it sort of extended quite a long way round and outside it. And I figured that was to accommodate the movement of the roots.
Yes.
And it would mean that where we do have problems with slabs rising up, if we could somehow sort of edge it maybe, but that particular area would be much safer, I think. So it's worth
We
investigating.
may have to get some advice from an arborist as well to find out what sort of area would be suitable for covering with this surface.
Yeah.
That may be one of the things that Heidi has to look at because there may be
That would be permeable, not. I just can't imagine it.
So there's lots to which hence it's going to meeting.
You could walk across this then.
Oh yeah.
Then it might resolve another problem, but it might be worth considering in relation to the pathway across the Mason Green, which is buckled.
I don't know, because it didn't feel as solid as that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So I'm not sure, but no, support. So 5 Crabtree Fields, that's coming up. Batford Springs, the grassland area, so I think that trial's been agreed.
Yes, the Baptist Springs Volunteers Chair attended the BCAG meeting on the 24th of November and he presented proposals for the additional trial and there were no objections.
So that's good, that's positive. So allotment development, that's coming up. Lydica Park Management Plan, that's coming up. Harding Parade Treatment Planters. I'm sorry, this is just an ongoing.
Apparently Councillor Ellis has it, or is having a briefing note and he's taking it up to Mr. Castle.
Brilliant. Well, that will help.
Can I just
Yes,
on this one, it is also relevant as whether it's going to be needed at all, because we're hopefully, there's on other committee meetings have been to regarding whether that area can be made improved, considered for a lay-by or bus stop.
Oh, Harding Parade?
Yes.
Okay, look at it.
So it's a double-edged sword, this one, whether we want to have the buns repaired, you know, and it's got to go through committees and discussed.
Councillor Weaver is correct that there's been an ongoing thing, but I think that's also been an ongoing debate over whether that becomes a lay-by or an interchange for buses. I think even if it were to be, we want to reduce a sort of brutalised urbanising of the area, and we've got a public realm responsibility. I think that's why the value of having a town council is. And you know, frankly, I think any streets that are in danger of looking a bit tatty, you know, if we're to support the local economy and especially shops and commercial vitality in any area, we've still got to pay attention to it. And I would hope that if there is a bus interchange, which would be a huge improvement, as Michael said, and I agree with that, that we still have some kind of, you know, we can work to have some kind of greenery around the area. So
exactly.
Unwelcoming.
I think that's the problem. It's 3 councils are involved.
Yes.
Trying to get 3 together is not easy.
Too many curves.
Yes,
Sport
quite
rock,
big.
yeah.
Okay, that's it, really. Okay. So, Crabtree Fields, again, assuming everyone has read the report, does anyone have any comments or questions about it? I would say that if you look at 4.1, it is fairly straightforward. But we need to take into account the advice that we've been given.
May I also bring the meeting's attention to 3.8 that about the contaminated land statutory guidance, which requires local authority to implement a contaminated land regime. So as the district council are the owners of the land, they should really be mindful of that.
So basically, I don't think we want it until everything is sorted.
Yeah, they can take
Entirely
quite a while
agree
as
with
well.
Chair, entirely agree with you. I think the words at the first line of the 2.1 recommendation, not to proceed until such times as the liabilities are fully known. Until the liabilities are fully known, we should not make a move.
And can be mitigated, so we can knock out the however. Everyone.
Okay.
Can I just have a show of hands on that recommendation?
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you. That's unanimous. The Heath Close Oakley Road transfer allotment. So I think this again is straightforward. We just want to ask Policy and Finance to authorise the transfer. And I think in which case, show of hands on that recommendation. Brilliant, thank you. Unanimous. The next one, the Harpenden Golf Club. I completely understand the logic of it. Emmy, you're going to ask about lights, don't you? Because they might be thinking of putting lights in.
There are no plans for putting lighting
That's good.
on the site.
Yeah, so that was just one minor worry that we had in case that they were going to do that. So if they're not, again, I think it's fairly straightforward in that, for those of you who've been up there, the car park is quite dangerous underfoot actually. And also I think it helps that the golf club have decided not, at one point they were going to move the trees that are adjacent to the hedge from the car park side of the hedge to the other side, but they have now decided they won't be doing that, so the trees will remain where they are. And that's because they can't actually get in another row of car parking spaces, so they can accommodate the car park without having to move them. So for me that's a positive.
Well, I can confirm as a disabled person on this, and it is very unsafe actually.
Yeah, I think so. So in which case the recommendation is 2.1.1, so that's permission for them to go ahead with the planning application. Can I have a show of hands?
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you, it's unanimous. And the clerk submitted section 38 application.
Subject to plan commission being received.
Brilliant. In which case again, show of hands for 2.1.2. Unanimous. Thank you. So the next one is the alternative food and drink event. So we agreed, and you can click back to the minutes of the last meeting, we agreed that we would not be running an event in conjunction with the St Albans Food and Drink Festival. And at the moment we have found, I say we, Sally, has found a French market that has got very good references that are reasonably well known apparently around here. And the beauty of it for me is that of course they pay us, we do not pay them. So although the income is not huge by any means, it's something like £250 a day, the onus is on the market itself to run. And we were thinking we'd probably have it on the same weekend as the farmers market, but if we do that, to have it on the Friday and Saturday, not the Sunday, so that it doesn't interfere with the stallholders on the market.
Is it just going to be a market, or will there be anything else there? Because obviously at the Food and Drink Festival, I think there's some kind of cookery event going on outside the church, and those kind of things are getting quite popular. Cookery schools, basically watching someone how to cook, all that kind of thing. Will there be other events, or will it just be walk around, sample with various foods at the market stalls?
It would be walking around and sampling, and it wouldn't actually be held in Church Green. It would be held on the Triangle.
Outside there, yeah.
That's Public Hall.
There, Triangle.
The Triangle. Public Hall, Harpenden Arms.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That triangle.
Yeah, oh, that triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got confused between this one and the other one, yeah.
Okay, Daniel and Michael.
It's disappointing to note that there is no alternative to France. So I remember when we debated this at the last meeting, we said everywhere has a French market. However, I think it provides what initially looks like a relatively low risk chance to have an event of our own. I think it's important to step out of the shadow of the St Albans event, because though I agree with Councillor Gillen that it's nice to have this sort of live cooking events, the problem is they cost an awful lot to put on compared to actually the number of people that watch them. And it was part of an event that just got overshadowed by St Albans and proved to be more costly than it was worth. So hopefully this could be a standalone event which would draw people into Harpenden, thus boosting other shops. And because it's
Yeah.
on the triangle, we have complete control over. We don't have to worry about things like traffic closure and policing as much.
True.
I find myself in a rather difficult position here. But I went along with the thing last time because part of any effort to increase the vitality of the high street does encourage having an event like a food and drink festival. So obviously I came to the meeting, but I went along with it because it was hard work, but it had the other side of the coin was, it did bring a lot of people in, and there were huge numbers of people in town on that day. But then we looked at it from all sorts of angles. The shops hadn't actually, it did benefit the restaurants and cafes, no doubt about that, and it did excite people, enthuse them, and all the rest of it. But so it is a difficult one, this one. But I went along with it because so long as I felt we could really push the sort of things of the French market. I'm delighted to see that Sally's found. It's 2 Saturdays we've got here, two weekends rather.
Between, not both of them, just all the other.
That's a pity of that one. I'd rather like to see. I would like to see more, if anything, to replace the food and drink. I'd rather like to see more. I'd rather like to see if a German market could be done. But I read your report, the things about the German market is more like a winter market, I think you would say, and I take that on board. But I did pose the question that the outside visitors will be coming in the mid-July, and I'm sure they will be very generous in offering us their German wines actually, and we could make something else of it. So if something could be done to coincide with that weekend, I would have thought that would have been quite beneficial to the council all round in some indirect way.
Yes, unfortunately I think Sally struggled with dates for the French market.
These were the only 2 dates
Yeah.
that the organisers
So
had.
obviously we need a much longer lead in than we realised when we made the decision. So we're going to go Pip, Harry, Daniel.
Yeah, I agree with Michael. I was torn on the food and drink festival because obviously the owners of the Town Council to provide financially for it and do obviously the majority of the organisation behind it with little support really from the local shop owners, etc. But like Harry said, I couldn't make it to the last one, but I heard that it was really, really popular, went down very well, and there's a lot of people from outside Harpenden came into the town to it. So I know obviously you've got the argument between how much the local shops are actually supporting the event themselves in terms of finance or actual help, but they benefit from obviously more people coming, and Michael said it is about the vitality of the town. So although it's work and financial burden for the town council, I still think it's a good thing for the town. I have no idea about the overshadowing from St Albans. I don't know if that's how, to what extent that is. But although I like the idea of the French or German one, I thought it would be a similar alternative. I didn't realise it would just be a little tiny market. And I said, I actually think that having it on a different day would mean it just sounds like quite a little, event really. I don't think it compares at all with it,
And it's not going to be that small.
It's almost, to my mind, it's almost something you could have as well. There's no loss to town council. We would actually make money from it. Could you have that one weekend, but still try to do something more along the food and drink festival line as well?
Yeah, I went to the food and drink festival and I went along on mine actually. No one I knew from around here went, but that's because they were busy. But I got talking to a lot of people in the queues, the very long queues in fact for the food. And all the people I spoke to, none of them lived in Harpenden. They were all from Luton, from Kimpton, from villages, and they said, oh yeah, such and such said to me, there's this on, we have these all the time, not all the time, there's one in Luton apparently. And it was very well received, and the people that were there, they weren't just going to the food stalls, they were going to Waitrose or M&S to get a drink or anything else they needed to get. So in terms of footfall, it generated huge footfall, I think, for a lot of the retailers. and I think the fish and chip shop, they were very popular as well. My fear is if that we have just this French market, it will be a lot smaller. It won't attract as many people, I don't think, because the word food and drink festival, because it's got festival in it, will therefore say, oh, people, there's something going on. Whereas for French markets, people will just think of a farmer's market, a lot more smaller affair. And that's really, I think, the problem we're looking at here is how can you get people to actually want to come to the event. So I think we shouldn't be too conservative in just keeping it to the French market, maybe try and make it bigger, because I thought the event was a success last year, and a lot of people, it's a popular thing, especially amongst younger people, sampling all different foods. If anything, it could have been better last year, because a lot of the food stalls ran out at 3 o'clock when people still wanted food. So I think we should try and maybe look at something else rather than just a French market, and like I think it said in here, Italian or a Spanish market as well. Like, make it a little bit bigger. Don't be afraid to push the boat out.
One quick observation. I mean, we are where we are. We discussed this last committee. I mean, with respect to Councillor Gillen, he clearly, I mean, has not recalled what the committee actually looked at in terms of difficulties. I don't call not being able to meet, supply not being able to meet demand, I don't call that a success. I call that a failure in a large event like that. I call that a lot of people going home disappointed. Sorry, I have the floor, Councillor. And I think that was one of the big problems. Yes, the idea is a lovely idea. The other problem is this town council is not sufficiently supported by the district council in terms of putting together a bid or a bid section of what is primarily a St Albans food and drink festival. St Albans is a lot more geared towards Sunday opening, where people may be sort of their taste buds enthused, can go off and go and enjoy one of the eateries in St Albans. However, the primary goal of having these things is to allow local people to show off. You have people like Andre Lussman, for instance, doing open air kitchen demonstrations, things like that. Only 6 stalls, we can see in the report, were taken up by local businesses last time. And surely this is about providing something that has a dual benefit. It's something that the residents of Harpenden can enjoy, it brings people into the town, and it brings a sustained benefit because it supports local businesses. We are where we are. We've said we don't want to do it anymore, and this has gone on for every year. So that decision has been made. Looking at the report and what we're asked to make a decision on today, we can either navel gaze and express our disappointment, or we can look at the choice we have in front of us, which is to book or not to book this market, and if we book it, which day do we choose? I would suggest that August 27th is probably not very good, because first of all, if it's really, really, really hot, nobody likes the idea of cheese running all over the place everywhere, but also people are largely away on their holidays then, or just coming back from them and would be interested, whereas September would allow it to sort of dovetail, if there's any benefit in that, with the St Albans event. And if it works, then there's an opportunity for us to build on it independently of St Albans, so it becomes a really Harpenden flavoured event.
Thank you.
Can I come back? Thank you. I go along with, if we're going to go down the thing, we're not backtracking at all. We decided what we did last time, but so we're going to go down the French market route. And certainly I would say the 25th September one would be the better one than the August one. And the other point I would say, did we agree the location? We said we come on I would have loved to have seen the thing in the centre of Harpenden, and I've used the diagonal road. Did we agree the triangle, or can we reconsider the thing? Because I would have thought the thing would have been much more successful if the diagonal road across the Church Green were used.
I thought that too.
I think you'll have to consider the logistics of closing the centre of Harpenden on a Friday and a Saturday, the costs associated with the road closures, installation of barriers and things like that. And in the if we did it on the Friday and the Saturday,
yes.
The Friday is a working day. You would be reducing the amount of parking spaces in the middle of town. You would be inhibiting people getting around on their business, going to school at St Nicholas's and things like that. I think the location was suggested as a triangle because it would be the least intrusive into people's everyday lives, but would also allow a lot of space. One of the things about the Food Trip Festival, because of the amount of people who were attending in September last year, it was very busy, it was very crowded, there were a lot of people there, which did add something to the ambiance, but at the same time, a bigger area to spread out would also be quite nice.
I think the logic of it for this year is this is a try it and
Yes.
see what it's like. And there's logic, as Emma's pointed out, about where to hold it. The logic for Friday and Saturday is to not interfere with the farmers market stallholders on the Sunday. So that's the proposition. I think, from my point of view, I'd like to try it, and I would prefer the September one. Question?
Yeah, I take all those points on board, and the road closures, very fair point financially and just a burden on everybody locally. I think the September date is definitely the better day. I'd be slightly concerned actually. Is it definitely going to be a Friday and a Saturday, or just one day?
It can be one day or 2 days,
Okay.
entirely up to you.
I would worry that having it Friday and Saturday before the farmers market on Sunday it's something different. I think they come down, spend their time down here on a different day maybe, and maybe not come to the Sunday market, which would be obviously much worse for the local businesses. That would be my only slight worry about it. I'd rather go with this than have nothing at all, for sure. That's my only concern, really.
Harry?
I would be happy if we just had it on the Saturday, because like Emma said, Friday is a working day, and I don't see how popular and well attended it could be on a Friday. I think having it on a Friday, as you said, also causes problems with parking and congestion. So I think just limiting it to a Saturday would be a better alternative, a better option.
Okay, I think, again, I would say that this is a trial, this is trying something out, and the market itself, they're quite happy to have 2 days and actually store some of their, not materials, but some of their stuff on the triangle overnight. If you've ever been to the Ladies' Circle Christmas Fair, that's a Friday and Saturday. Both days very well attended. From the town council point of view, we don't lose anything by trying it, and so I would rather try it and have a full report afterwards to see how it goes, and go that route.
Thank you, Chair. We gain £250, don't we, for it's on that day. But also, I do feel, even if it's not so well attended on, but maybe it's free on the Friday, it'll get noticed. People will be coming. A lot of people do lots of things on a Friday, lots of shopping. They may not go to that, but they'll say, oh, that's going to be on Saturday too. So I really wouldn't mind if it's don't think there's another to us. Of having it this time as the trial, as the Chair has said, on both the Friday and the Saturday. Give it a go.
Okay.
What time would it be open to on Friday?
Oh, that I don't know.
Because if they opened it maybe till 7 o'clock, because if we have it in September, it'd still be light up until 8 o'clock or so. So they could have it later, and that would attract people as a kind of semi-night market, not properly night, but semi-night market. Well, no, not as 8. But
I think the Staty Fair is on the Common in September, and obviously that sort of gets dark. So I think
They wouldn't have lighting.
yeah.
Okay, well I think we've discussed it enough. In which case, can we amend the recommendation to say that we would like to try this, and we would go for the September date?
Yes.
Both days. Can I see you show of hands? Thank you very much. Yep, that's unanimous. That's all we're doing. Okay, Harpenden Town Council Park. So apparently it's quite sweet. Some of the people who live in Arcadian Court have asked their own gardeners to look after a couple of beds, and they wanted to sort of regularise the arrangement. And the recommendation you can see is that there's a management agreement for 5 years. It's fairly straightforward. Anybody got any comments? No? In which case, shall we go to the recommendation 2.1 and 2.1.1? Those in favour? Thank you very much. Back to Spring Weir. So you'll see that Rossiter has done a report for us. It's very straightforward what they want us to do. I don't think there's any great debate on this one. It's straightforward. So it's signage going up and a throw line, and we'll just monitor it to see whether we have any problems.
Two trains, one on each track.
Any questions or comments?
Good.
Straight to the vote then. So let's take them all together. Are we in favour of that recommendation?
All together.
Lovely. Thank you very much. That is unanimous. So now we're doing the Dick Park Management Plan. And one of the things I'd like to say is thank you to all the officers who were involved in writing this report. I had thought it was supposed to be Tom Scott doing it, but apparently not.
We had to write it, they submitted it.
Yeah, so they submit it on our behalf. So does anybody have any comments to make about the report itself? Management plan, rather? It's fairly comprehensive.
It is certainly well put together. I mean, I don't want to jump too far down the line. It is just, and this is maybe out of order, not appropriate to this meeting here, but I noticed on the, and can we name notes for some other time, another committee maybe, on the page 48, which is the welcoming place, the car park, I see the current price for a business park is £300 a year for a full-time employee working. I think that is incredibly cheap. So that's about £7 a day, £7 a week, and we're short of places. I really think that could be on. Well, I wouldn't say double, but it could be double that.
Okay, well that's for Emma to note, but it's not.
Yes, exactly. That's what I said. Just a note that I think. I haven't spotted this one before, but do you think that should be considered carefully?
Actually, that's probably TNS, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so in which case the recommendation is for us to approve
Oh yes.
the plan.
Yeah.
Any comments, queries? Happy to vote? Okay, those in favour. Lovely. Unanimous. In which case we're budgetary control, so we're nearly at the end of the main meeting. As you'll see that they agreed on shelters. The recommendation we asked for PNS to consider the cycle stands, that's going to go to their next meeting, so it'll come back to our following meeting. But we've got the two bus shelters, which I'm very pleased about. Any questions at all on this? It does look fairly straightforward. There's nothing, the variances are noted, there's nothing that's leaking out at me that's concern.
Nothing at the water management check.
No, anybody else got a query?
No, I gave a good look to it, and as far as I'm concerned, then go along with it.
Thank you.
Sorry, can I
Yeah?
just ask one thing again? The capital and one-off projects on the back page,
Appendix
Bottom
1.
line.
appendix 2.
Appendix 2.
Sorry if I jumped the gun.
That's all right, because there's a capital one-off on Appendix 1.
Yeah, bottom
Oh,
line.
yeah. I think that was for the headquarters, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The 30,000 right at the bottom.
yeah.
Just remind me what that was covering?
30,000 I don't think that's going to be.
So is that the earmark reserve
It will come out of the amount reserve.
as opposed to F16 money?
Yes.
Yes.
Because that doesn't come into this, does it?
No.
Not separate. Yeah.
Any other questions? In which case, are we just noting this, or in which case, I think we say it's duly noted and approved, and then we move on to exempt business. In which case, if you ask members of the public. Super Park.